Hello everybody, this is Sherry from djsundry.blogspot.com, and today we're going to make a little ribbon book. I'll explain that as we go along on what I mean by that, but I decided to start with the cover. So what I've done here is I have a beige piece of cardstock that I have cut at 3 3/4 by 5.5 inches, and I'm going to take the distressed ink in Faded Jeans, and I'm just going to ink up the edges just a bit. I'm going to be using this for other things as well, so I'm just going to ink that up. And then I have a piece of cream colored ribbon here that I've cut to fit, wide enough to fit around the back, and I have these little letter stamps from Studio G, and I am going to use the same Faded Jeans, and I am going to actually stamp the word ribbon right onto the piece of ribbon. So I've got my R, and this one I found was a little bit tricky when I did it before, and I got it a little bit off. It's going to be kind of rustic. Some of the edges show. These stamps are just really simple stamps, and it's really kind of easy to get them smudged. So I'm just going to stamp the word ribbon on it. Sure my end's not upside down. Okay, ribbon. So we'll set that aside because that part is done. And then I have my Country Life cartridge, and on page 60 there's this little picture, a flower picture. I took that and cut it at 3 inches. The base color I cut green, and then I cut each of the flowers and then the stripes and then the yellow picture here, and that's going to be part of our cover here. Just a really simple cover. I'm not putting a lot of design or anything to it. Now, when I doubt you can see it in this picture, but there are 3 little dots that usually will cut with a yellow layer, and those are actually the centers for each of the flower, but I chose not to use them. I felt that I had something different I wanted to do, and so we'll come back to that in a little bit, but for now let's just get the flower stuck down. I think I'll take a little bit of glue just to put on the edges and on the flower edges, just so that since this is the color of a book, I want it to adhere good and strong on here for me. I don't want to take any chances of it coming off, because like all the books that I make, my goal is not for them to look pretty, although that's part of it, but I want them to be usable. So I want to make sure that we've got a good enough adhesion here that it will be safe so that that person can use it. And then on this, we'll just kind of center that there. I'm just going to run a line of adhesive. Just kind of, I don't think I got off camera there. Just center that there and come around to the back. And just put that around. Now we will come back to this cover in a little bit. I just wanted to get that part done and out of the way and get rid of some pieces here. So now the next thing I want to do is I have taken what will be the cover of my book. This is the cover of the book, and I cut this at 4.5 inches wide by 6 1/4 inches tall. And then the inside pages of my book I've cut at 4 inches wide by 6 inches tall. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out my Bind It All, and we're going to work on the inside of the book. So I have 5 sheets of paper here, and this is all just scrap paper from Can Company. My goal on this project was to not use anything but scraps. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my lever over here to C, and based on the fact that it's about a 6-inch cover, I want to put this in here I want to slide it to where it all rests against that C, and I'll put some pretty good pressure on it, and I'm going to just cut it, cut the holes right through it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to push, I want to come through, and I want to count the third hole up. 1, 2, 3, and I will put those 3 holes into the little edge piece to kind of hold it, so that now my next set of holes will line up correctly, and that'll give me 10 holes going up the side of the book. Fairly well centered, not great I guess, but it will work. So then I want to do the same thing on the other side, and because I don't want to mess up my holes, I want to be sure that they line up correctly, I'll just flip it so that they're the same at the top and the bottom. And we'll just cut it. And then line up on the third hole. Make sure everything's down flat, and cut it again. So this is on my inside pages. So you'll see here that I have 10 holes. Now this is going to be the top of my book, and this is going to be the bottom of my book. So now the next step that I'm going to do is I'm going to be using, I want to put, these are the sides, so now what I want to do is I'm going to want to cut the top where my binding will go. I think it's a little bit high there, sorry about that. So I'm going to cut the top where my binding will go. So in order to do that, I'm going to pull out my ruler. And this ruler is really nice because you can line it up and center it by using the bottom to make sure everything's centered here. And so let's see, I'm going to take a pen. I don't think that one will fit. Let's take a pencil and put some extra lead. So I see here that my center point is right about there, so I'm just going to make a pencil mark just so I can line it back up when I put it inside my bind it all. So again, I want to make sure that everything's flush, and now I'm going to line this center arrow up right where my hole is, and I want to make sure that it's all lined up and straight, and I moved it a bit, so let's reline it up. And then we're going to go back and we're going to cut it again. Okay, so now this has my side pieces here, and I know this doesn't look like much yet, but trust me, it will. And then the sides are cut as well. Now for my cover, again, I want to do the same thing. I have the 2 pieces, and of course the measurement's going to be a little bit different, so I want to realign it, making sure that I'm centered. Let's go up just a little bit higher this time. Put my pencil mark so I can find it. Now this one I really don't care if I see the pencil mark because it will be covered with the front cover anyway. And again, we're going to center that right there. That doesn't look quite centered to me. Let me look at that again. Doesn't seem to be lining up correctly. Set my 0 there. And it's showing 2 1/8 on either side. Let's move that pencil mark down a little bit more so I can actually see it a little bit better. Okay, so now we're going to line that up. Lining that up with the center point so that my holes will match. And then we're going to punch my holes. Okay, that was a little bit easier to punch because I didn't have as many layers. We're just going to set that aside for now. So now I've got my cover cut and I have my pages cut. Now comes the part that's going to turn this into a ribbon holder. I'm going to take my scissors and I am going to cut out every other hole. So what I mean by that is, first of all, I'm going to cut up the side here, and you could use your paper trimmer if you wished. It doesn't really matter, but I'm going to just cut off the side. And then I'm going to cut starting, it doesn't, at this time I'm going to start the center, or at the bottom, and I'm going to cut off every other one. And if you see that what I'm doing here is I'm making wider openings. And then we will repeat the same thing on the other side. We'll start by cutting off the outer edges. And then we'll cut out every other notch. So now what I'm able to do is take the ribbon, a piece of ribbon, when the book is complete, and I'll be able to wrap it around here like this. I actually have a piece here that's about 2 yards long to store. And then I can either just take a little piece of adhesive or a piece of tape and tape it down. And so each page I can do 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of ribbon. So I'll be able to put 20 different pieces of ribbon in my little book here. So that's how that's going to work. Now the next step is to bind the book. So to do that, I want to mix these up a little bit. We need to take our wire. And for this one, since I punched 6 holes, I need 6 rings. So this is the 1/2 inch Zutter wire. So I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'll cut right in the middle. Now I already have my bind it all set up to be able to do this at the right width here, but if you needed to set it, you do have these little templates that you can go through and set it. So this is my front cover and this is my back cover. Now the instructions to the bind it all are very clear that in order for things to line up correctly, you need to flip the back cover over to the front, and then you'll take your wires and you will bring them all through. Let's see, I want to do it this way. Oops, grab the wrong set here. There. So So now we've got our wire all prepared. And I want to check something real quick. I'll be right. Okay, I'm back. What I wanted to check is it seemed like I had these wires in here backwards, and I did. The wider side needs to go towards the back or where your pages are to make sure that it's all in there correctly, or your pages will not lay correctly. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to rest my pages in the middle, and this is a little bit tricky because you want it to be right as much in the middle as you can without being on either side, or they won't pinch correctly. And then I'm just going to put pressure on it here and just hold on to it and put pressure on it until those wires come together. I think I need to go a little bit more. Probably not a lot more, but I do need to go a little bit more here till they come together. There we go. So now I have my binding put together, and I can just flip my back or the back of the book around to the back, and now we have our little book. So now all we have to do is finish off the cover, and to do that we're going to pull aside the page that we made earlier, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to adhere that to the cover. Again, I want to use plenty of adhesive because I don't want it coming up while being used. Then we'll set that, kind of center it there. And now comes the fun part with the decorations. The first thing I want to do is I want to take my ruler again. Let's move some of this stuff out of the way. And I just want it to be kind of in a straight line. And the reason why is because I learned the hard way that it's too easy not to get it in a straight line. So I want to kind of center that. And I have here Liquid Pearls by Ranger, and this is the Petal Pink color. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start, probably about right here, and I'm just going to set my pearl, and you just put a dot and let it go. Now at first it looks like it's going to kind of point up in the middle, but we'll fix that in just a minute. Then this one I'm going to put right about here. And this one is Lavender Lace. And then the next one is Baby Blue. I'm going to put that right about here. Again, that one beat it up a little bit, but that's okay. Okay, and then I have another one here, and this is the Bisque color. And that's what I'm going to do the center of my flowers. Okay. And then to help those settle into a little bit better, smoother line, you just pull it out and we're just going to tap on the bottom. And I can tell I'm going to have to go back and pinch my wires a little bit more because it's coming apart. So now that it still has a little bit of a peak, and as you can see the blue one was a little bit bigger, but that's okay. So let's just put this back on real quick. Being careful not to hit our pearls. And there's our ribbon book. So now once the pearls dry, I can go in and add the ribbon to my book, and then I can either just store my own ribbon on it or give it as a gift with ribbon in it. So that's how I made my ribbon book. So thanks for watching and have a good day.